How's it going, everybody? Selma here. I know I haven't uploaded in like a month now, and that's mainly because I have an awful relationship with the mistress that is named Procrastination, but I'm here now, so here you go. We're getting right into the video. So for this video, I'm going to be showing off Banshee and the Pyrana Prime. You're not going to be able to replicate what I did in this video, as it is using an exploit, so this video isn't really a tactical, strategic guide per se. It's more just for fun and just seeing how far this ridiculous exploit that was in the game about a month ago could go. So if you enjoy exploits, then feel free to keep watching. Now, for those of you still watching the video and haven't already clicked off of it, basically there was an exploit about a month ago involving the Pyrana Prime, and it was only on PC for about a week, and I think Sabuchi made a video about it. I'm sorry if I'm absolutely destroying his name, but on the console, it actually stayed around for a little bit longer, as obviously consoles don't get updated as often, and they can't obviously go in and hotfix things immediately all the time. So on console, it was here for about almost a month's time. I'd say 2 to 3 weeks. I can't remember exactly, but essentially what the bug entailed was when the Pyrana Prime came out, or even now, you can still see this happening, but you gain a buff whenever you kill 3 enemies or more consecutively within a certain time period. And this buff gives you extra ammo and extra fire rate. So at base, it's like 40%, I believe. So you can keep stacking this and stacking this when it first came out by going into your operator and waiting for the buff to refresh or just the timer to die down, and then you would keep that buff. And you could stack this all the way up until your FPS just became absolutely butchered, and you had around 40,000 rounds in your magazine, and you're shooting at several hundred rounds per second, and it was absolutely glorious. Now, with me being the endurance runner I am, I decided to just see how far this could go into a survival and just take it all the way. Now, there were a couple problems with this exploit, mainly being if you have like a 200 or 300 rate of fire on the Pyrana, the recoil just becomes so ridiculous that even if you just tap the trigger once, you're basically aiming it to the sky, like straight up 90 degrees. So to try to negate that issue and just totally remove the recoil in general, I actually put steady hands on, and then I was able to get a negative recoil ribbon, or just borrow it from a clan member for about a week or two. So thanks to them, you know who you are. Now, the other huge drawback with this is just your frames per second. Essentially, when you try to start firing at several hundred rounds per second and you're in shotgun mode or even just regular single fire mode, you're shooting so many bullets at the enemies and you're just getting so many hits registered that I couldn't even run punch through. I was actually going to originally run punch through for this run because I was going to be grouping all the enemies up and have them in one specific room. Like, you can bottleneck really well on ODS in general, but I just was not able to do that without my frames dropping so unbelievably low that it was just completely impractical to play. And even just this run, it went on for I ended up going a tiny bit over 3 hours, but in the end, the actual in-game time was more like 4 hours because the timer is also dependent on your frames per second, and it was really demotivating to just stay in there and just watch the seconds tick by so unbelievably slowly once I got past the 2-hour mark. As you can also probably see, I brought my Octavia Spectre with me, and that was just for Mallet and Resonator and all the extra buffs just to draw the aggro off my Banshee, so later on I wasn't the target of all the aggro from the enemies and I wasn't getting shot at as much. It's more of like a 1 in 3 chance of getting shot at. Me, the Octavia, or the Mallet. Also, I got a Healer Spectre too, but I was standing right next to the Healer, so that doesn't really matter too much. Probably anything that shoots him is also going to shoot me. Now, I know there's been some controversy in my comment sections recently on whether or not I was actually doing these runs solo, and I can definitely confirm that Spectres are solo runs. It's not like having a teammate at all, and to anyone that might disagree with me on that, I implore you to go ahead and try to do John Prodman solo, where you get 3 Spectre teammates and then try to do it with a full team of real players. You'll see quite a difference. But anyways, I'm going to go over the builds for both my Banshee and my Pyrana. Obviously, I don't think you guys care too much about the Pyrana anymore at this point because you can't really replicate it, but I'll show you what I would have run in just with a regular Pyrana nowadays. But I'm sure you probably do care about the Banshee quite a bit because I did manage to go 3 hours with her, and she is a lot of fun to play. So let's get right into it. Here's my Banshee Prime. Now, I was mainly focusing her build around silence and sonar. As the aura, I had Growing Power, then I had Streamlined Formon. This is just a personal preference mod. If you want to put on Power Drift or whatever else you have, you can feel free to do so there. Prime Continuity for a little extra duration, Fleeting Expertise, Stretch, Resonance. Now, Resonance is a really important mod because obviously it's one of the strongest augments in the game, and pretty much every couple seconds you'll be able to stack another Resonance on there. And it allows you to get a lot more sonar spots on enemies compared to like what you would have been able to have if you were running, say, like another duration mod in this slot or something else of that nature. Now we got Intensify. This is just to buff sonar. Streamline, obviously, for more power efficiency. Narrow-Minded for extra duration, and Vitality. Vitality was the only mod I'm using on here as far as survivability is concerned, and I'm mainly just running Vitality so that if I get hit by any toxin procs, which are really common when you're fighting the infested, I can hopefully tank some of them for a little bit longer, and then as soon as I put my healer down, I can actually tank some a shot or two for actually quite a while. Now, that's the reason I use Vitality over like something like Redirection. Now, duration's actually really important when it comes to sonar, because the more sonar stacks you have, it's kind of dependent on its duration. So essentially, the more duration and strength you have, the higher the probability you're going to have of getting 2 or more stacks in one spot. And the really cool thing with sonar is it stacks multiplicatively, not additively. And what I mean by that is, let's say you have a 10 times multiplier on sonar and you got 2 spots that stacked up together. Instead of it being 10 times damage and then plus another 10 times damage being 20 times damage, instead it's going to be 10 times damage times 10 times damage. So essentially you're getting 100 times damage on that particular enemy spot when 2 or more stack, and then if you have a third sonar spot stacking on there, then you got 1,000 times damage. So it's basically whatever your sonar multiplier is, and then that's taken to the power of the number of overlap spots that you have, then that's your total damage for that particular location. And because of this allows people to hit the damage cap with Banshee, as you can have probably seen in multiple other YouTube videos where people use Banshee to do that with. Now, moving on over to my arcanes, I actually have Arcane Momentum on here, and that's just silly because I really enjoy playing with Evectis. Now, I was actually using an Arcane Energize and then also an Arcane Guardian for the run. Arcane Guardian was for a little bit extra armor. You can actually get 600 armor, and it's additive to your base armor. So unlike the old Arcane Guardian that was pretty much useless on Banshee because she's got such low armor initially, so it was like 60%, so extra 60% on top of the base 65 is going to be nothing. You're still going to be having less than 100 armor, but with the new Arcane Guardian that gives an additive 600 armor, you're actually at 665 now, so it's actually really quite useful, and it's a good way to stack up your EHP if you're on squishier frames like Trinity or Banshee or Nyx, frames kind of like that. Now, the Energize is obviously there just for stacking energy and keeping my energy up for pretty much the whole mission. It's an amazing arcane. If you don't have an Arcane Energize, definitely it's honestly worth the investment. It's really crazy. It allows you to build less for efficiency and focus more on strength and duration, or just never have to worry about energy at all, which is usually what I like to prefer building it for. Moving on over to the Pyrana Prime now, I'm going to show you what I ran for the run and then what I would be running if it's just a regular Pyrana Prime for a build today. Right, so for the run, this is what I was using. I had a Steady Hands that wasn't max rank. That's because I only needed to be rank 1 to get up to 100% recoil, and obviously as soon as you get to 100% recoil, it doesn't matter. You don't have to have any more than that because you're going to have 0 recoil anyway, so it's not worth putting any more on. And then as far as my Riven goes, I had negative recoil, and then I think also electricity, so I was able to make corrosive out of that. Now, I was using a hybrid crit kind of status build, but not really. That's mainly what I'm using for my regular run, or just regular build today anyways. So I got Prime Target Cracker, extra critical damage, Prime Pistol Game, extra critical chance, Barrel Fusion, obviously more multi-shot, Lethal Torn for extra fire rate and multi-shot. Obviously fire rate didn't even matter, right? I'm firing so fast that it wasn't even worth putting any fire rate mods on. And then Hornet Strike on there for extra damage, obviously. And then I had that Riven in that location. Now, I'm sure you don't really care about that build too much. The build I would be running if I'm just doing a regular mission nowadays is probably this, or something around here. Again, you can modify these builds that I show you however you want. It's all down to personal preference, and it's not like this is the best build for whatever you're doing. It's really dependent on what mission you're running, what other frames you have in your run with you, what weapons you're using. There's so many different factors that go into a build. These are more just generalized builds, and you can modify them to however you want, but they'll serve their purpose for you, and they should work well in most situations. Now, I have on this build basically Jolt, Pistol Pestilence. This is just to combine to create Corrosive, and then I've also got a 90% mod here. If you want to run Primed Heated Charge, you can do that too. Also, if you just want to run Radiation for whatever faction, that would actually give you more damage, like versus Grenier or whatever. I also got Lethal Torrent, Barrel Diffusion, Hornet Strike, Prime Pistol Gamut, and Prime Target Cracker, just the basic mods for a straight up damage and critical build. But now those are the two builds. I'm going to go back into the gameplay, and I'm going to show like the last couple minutes of the gameplay all the way up to 3 hours and so, and me extracting. It actually gets a little bit more exciting because I'm not camping the whole time anyways. I get up and try to run around. I actually survived without dying at all for like the last 10 or 15 minutes just running around with Banshee, which I found really surprising. And that kind of goes to show just how good on occasion, if you build for Banshee's silence and you're not running a bunch of range on it, you can actually really work the CC from silence and be able to survive for quite a long time. I'm sure this wouldn't have worked like versus enemies that could shoot you from a distance. Obviously, Infested, they don't have that many units that can do that, so I was able to do this, but in a regular mission, it probably would not have worked out the same for me. Anyways, guys, this brings me to the end of the commentary portion of the video. If you haven't joined the Discord already, I highly suggest you do so, as I'm always in there. I'm always free to talk, happy to answer questions, or if you just want to talk to me on the mic, I'm also free to do that. Always down to talk about endgame and endurance runs, and we got plenty of other knowledgeable people in there that are all down of the same mindset, and we're all there for endgame in general, basically. what little endgame Warframe has at this point. But as always, I'd like to thank you guys for watching the video, and I hope to see you in the next one.
The longer you fight, the more successful we will be. Spore saturation is nearing mass. After that point, no amount of life support will save you. Get ready for a capsule. That should keep you going for a while. Another life support capsule is now available. The spores have almost completely saturated the atmosphere. You need to get out of there. That should keep you going for a while. Support activated. Tenno, prepare for life support. Life has been replenished. Life support incoming. Additional life support has arrived. That should keep you going for a while. Life support has been replenished. Get ready for that capsule. Look what our Tenno operative just found. They could not do this without you.